Hey Creator Crew, you know when something's amazing at first, but over time the little things start to annoy you? No, I'm not talking about relationships, but I am talking about my relationship with this Nutribullet Flip. And that's exactly what happened with me. The Nutribullet Flip at first I thought was a game changer. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, I did a comparison video of 4 portable blenders. 2 of them are right here, the Nutribullet Flip and the Ninja Blast Max. I'll link that video somewhere on screen. But in that video, the Nutribullet Flip did lose to the Ninja Blast Max, but only by 0.2, where the average score for the Ninja Blast Max was 8.6 and the average score for the Nutribullet was 8.4. But after using it for a while, I started noticing some annoyances. And now, if I retested all of my portable blenders today, the Nutribullet Flip would score way lower. Let me tell you why. Alright, before I dig in, just take a second to go down, like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. Alright, so now on to business. And my first issue is called the hidden hassle. And the Nutribullet has more parts to clean than any of the other portable blenders that I've used. And I didn't realize how annoying it would get over time. So if I could just walk through the steps of what you have to clean here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, you know, in a vacuum, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when we break it apart and see if you want to take this somewhere, you want to walk somewhere, you want to go somewhere, all the steps you have to take compared to the other blenders, specifically the Ninja Max Blast, you know, it's just a lot. So let's look at this. All right, so cleaning step number 1 is once you're cleaning, you have to be sure to clean inside of here. So if you've ever drank from the spout that's on the motor, then you have to clean in here. But this is an entire channel that runs from here to here. So you have to get the scrubbing, you know, like the straw scrubber, one of those long things to get in here to make sure and clean that out. Because if you don't, I'll show you what happens. I purposefully did not like go and give this a deep clean from since the last time I used it yesterday. So I put water in it, I put soap in it, I shook it up, I blended it, and then I threw it out. That's generally what you do with your portable blenders that you use every single day, right? You don't always have to go in and deep clean. But if you don't deep clean this every day, there's chunks of food that get stuck inside of here. Not to mention, if you look at the drinking spout lid, there is a hole in the lid that collects all your smoothie particles and stuff as well. So all that leafy greens and stuff, it gets trapped inside of here and then gets hard. So this entire channel here, plus the drinking spout lid, you have to clean really good when you're using it. And then not to mention, if you have to take this somewhere, then that means you have to carry this around. So this is the cover for this once you're done using it, if you have to carry it somewhere. And then this is the drinking spout lid if you don't want to carry around the motor, right? So you put this on and then you could drink from it like a regular drinking cup. But you also have to clean in here as well, because this also has a hole in the lid as well. I don't understand why they kept putting holes in here. From an engineering perspective, I would think just fill that in with plastic, which is, you know, what you generally do. And then you have like the rubber on the side to make sure that it's closed when you close it. But why did you have to leave this as a hole to collect all this smoothie material and stuff? So for me, this is just a lot. So when you think about it, if you use this and you go somewhere, you have to clean this, you have to make sure clean this. Not to mention, when cleaning this, you have the USB port. So I talked about this in my previous video. So now what I do is I try to make sure that I have my thumb cover the USB port when I'm cleaning this so it doesn't get wet. Again, another hassle, something you have to think about. If you're on the go, you don't always have time to think about that stuff. So cleaning this with the USB port in mind, this channel here, the lid here, then taking this off, you know, you gotta clean this, and then you gotta clean, it's too much. It's too much. So it's funny that part 2 of what I don't like about the Nutribullet Flip is actually what drew me to it in the first place. It's engineering. I think it's really cleverly designed. And in a perfect world, this would be the ideal smoothie blender for you to take on the go. But when its function comes into play, it really just falls apart. Like if you're looking for, as an example, look at this strap. This strap, there's no reason why this strap is so short. As a grown man, my fingers can barely get underneath this strap, right? And you might say, yeah, that's all you need, but it's kind of uncomfortable, right? You want to slide it a little bit further back in your hand, especially if it's full, because then, you know, it's kind of sitting on like the mid knuckle here, which is not ideal, right? So this is super short. Then when you look at this, this, if you're holding it, you can't open the spout to take a drink. As an example, let me bring out the Ninja Blast Max. You're doing something, sometimes you gotta hold it, you're drinking, you're tired, you know, you went running, whatever it is. It's something that you don't think about, but the moment you try to do it, you realize, I can't do it, right? So if this is up, you can't open the lid. So this is like the air spout that's in the head right here, right? So this lets the air out so that you're not sucking on the actual smoothie for it to come out. The air goes in and pushes the smoothie out of the drink spout, right? But if this is up before you open the lid, it doesn't go up because it's jamming against this, right? So just something minor, but why is it designed like this? And if it's up, it can't close, which is, yes, it's minor, but going through your day, these are things that you take for granted that you really don't want to have to think about when you're drinking a smoothie. And yeah, it's just going around, like I said, with all of these parts and thinking about where they are and how you have to carry them and make sure they're safe and you don't lose them, etc. It's just over-engineered, over-complicated. It just proves to be difficult when you're difficult but annoying, like I said, when you're having your day-to-day and you're thinking about some of the more important things in your day, you don't want to have to think about opening a lid. And part 3 is a problem that's caused by part 2. Because of its over-engineering and having to take all these different components, what I found myself doing on a day-to-day basis is ditching this. So once I ditch that cup, then I'm left with blending and drinking from this. And this is actually the biggest blender that I tested of the 4 blenders. So this filled with the motor on is actually about 4 pounds. So at the end of the day, I'm walking around, you know, drinking. If you're doing something, you're drinking out of a 4-pound canister. And if you don't drink it fast enough, it means you're just walking around with 4 pounds in your hand. And while again, it's not the worst thing in the world, it still is inconvenient and it gets tiring. So, you know, whereas with the other blenders, you can just disassemble, you go and you drink, you don't have the weight of the heaviest part of the blender, which is the motor. You don't have the weight of that. So you just put this aside and you go ahead drinking. With this, I got so tired of having to switch between these so that I don't have to walk with this. I decided I would just ditch the extra cup and go around with this for convenience sake, because it's just inconvenient to deal with the switch. But now I'm dealing with the weight. So, you know, you give up one thing, you end up with another, and it just caused another problem for me with the Nutribullet Flip. And this last one, I really didn't think about until this thing happened. I was blending, I put my fruits in reverse order because remember, you have to flip this over. So the smoothie methodology is putting in the light stuff first, or the liquids first, and then putting in the heavy stuff. I'm talking here, and this is another thing you have to consider when you're dealing with this, right? So this could be a 0.5 where you have to put the contents in this in reverse. And if you don't do that, you end up with what caused me to realize problem number 4, which I call the unknown, because you can't actually see what's happening in the blender. And that also seems simple and you don't think about it, and you don't think like, why do I want to see what's blending? But you do, you really do, because sometimes, like me, you forget because this is a flip, so you have to put everything in reverse order so that when you flip it, the water is below and the heavy stuff is on top. If you forget and you put, you know, your liquids and then you put some of your hard stuff on top and then you flip it, then that means that you get your frozen fruit and stuff at times stuck in the blade, or the blade is spinning but the fruits are stuck here, so there's nothing hitting the blade because they're kind of jammed up here, and you hear it whirring but you don't know if it's blending. You try to shake it but you don't know if it's moving. It's just confusion. So to rectify that, now you have to turn the blender right side up, reopen the blender, look at it, make sure it's fixed or whatever, and put in a spoon or whatever, get that fixed, close it back, flip it over, and then blend again. So it's just a process that's, you don't think about something that you want to see, or as another example, whether or not your smoothie is blended enough. So your smoothie is blended, and sometimes, you know, you might be trying different fruits, or you might be doing something that you don't ordinarily do within the smoothie blender, but you want to see, if I have this blast mat, I could see, oh, it looks a little chunky, let me run it for another cycle. With this, to see if it has blended properly, again, you have to open it, turn it over, take it out, look at it, close it, flip it back, do it again. Not a lot of steps, but if you're doing this once a day, twice a day, and you have to deal with all of the components, it really adds up. And I didn't realize how much all of these little things would add up. And it's kind of where I landed with this. It's over-engineered and it's too much. That said, the Nutribullet Flip is a good blender, don't get me wrong. It has redeeming qualities as well. One, it's one of the largest portable blenders on the market. And two, it has something that no other portable blender has that I tested. It's insulated. The cup is insulated. So if you're someone, as an example, who, you drink a lot of smoothies at work, you put it in your car in the morning, or you blend it right before you go to work, and you sit and you work and then drink, so you're drinking every 5 minutes and you want to make sure that your smoothie stays as cool or as cold as possible, then this is for you. And you may disregard everything else I say because this is what you need it for and that's your use case. But for me, the cleaning is a hassle, the extra steps are unnecessary, drinking from the head gets heavy, and not being able to see inside, it was bigger than I thought. Like, I really didn't realize how much I need to see inside the blender when I'm blending it, or how much I want to see inside the blender so that I don't have to do multiple steps. So if you're choosing between the Nutribullet Flip and the Ninja Blast Max, my recommendation today would be to use the Ninja Blast Max. With the Ninja Blast Max, it's easier, faster, and simpler, and it really is the reason why it won the first time. Today, we just confirmed it. So you tell me about your experience in the comments. Have you used any one of these? What do you think about the Nutribullet Flip? Will you still get it? Did anything I say make sense to you? Or if not, let me know in the comments. And then I'll put the links to all of the blenders that I tested down in the description. And also go like and watch that video where I tested the 4 blenders. You'll get to see what the other 2 blenders from the lightweight category did. So these I considered heavyweights, and there were 2 more that I considered lightweights. So go watch that video and see it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.